guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I am Zara and this is my channel and I'm a doctor. And as you can see from the title, today I'll be talking to you guys a little about my journey into medicine, what med school is really like. I think I did a video similar to this, but I've taken it down now and I thought I'd give you guys a more updated version of it. So I'm a doctor in the UK and I studied in the UK. I've had all my formal education in the UK, so if you're international, I'm not really sure I could answer a lot of your questions, but I'll try as much as I can. But yeah, so I came to medical school straight after secondary school, straight after college, sorry, not straight after college, so, okay. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Zara and I'm a doctor, and as you can see from this title, I'm going to be talking to you guys about medical school and how I'm here now as a doctor and what med school is like, and if I can give you guys tips along the way. So to begin with, I had all my education in the UK, so from the age of 5 up to the age of ending medical school 24, I have basically studied here. So if you're international, I'm not really sure I could give you guys a lot of information, but I'll try my best. So yeah, let's get into it. So I knew around year 10 that I kind of wanted to pursue medicine. Before then I wasn't really sure. I quite liked sort of the IT. I did like science a lot, and I think at one point I really liked engineering and physics, but this sounds pathetic, but it's really not, because I think anything can motivate you to become anything. But I watched a K-drama and I think it was Descendant of the Suns, and I really liked the fact that she was a gen surge, and I was really motivated by that. And yeah, that's why I decided back in year 10 when I was 15 that I wanted to be a doctor, more specifically a surgeon. And since then I've been working towards that goal. Of course, along the way you get motivated by different things. My friends were there, I had some placements organised through my college at a GP, and it's just further instigated what I wanted to do. And I also had work experience outside of medicine, and I think it's really important that you experience other career paths as well to figure out what's good for you. And when it comes to my siblings and a lot of my siblings' friends, they often do, like, whenever I say to them, oh, get work experience in this and that, and then decide if you want to do something, they often think, well, where am I supposed to do it and when am I supposed to do it? And I would say summer holidays is a good way to do it. A couple of days, I think, across different careers, not just in healthcare. If you're thinking about becoming a doctor, maybe do something in management, maybe think about doing something in school, like volunteering somewhere. And of course, like on the medical side as well, see if you can get a placement in a GP, if not even that, care home, just anywhere where you're helping people. And most of the time they usually want your help and you're volunteering. So, and it's a good thing to put on your CV. You can later show to the examiners and interviewers that, hey, I did try out this and this, and actually I've decided that medicine is the right one for me because I really like the way it was. Anyway, I digress. I did a couple of placements in a GP. I did placement in a care home. I did some placement through school, so secondary school also helped me at a school, like a literal like preschool. And by putting those on my CV, I brought it up again in my interview and I said, this is what I like and this is what I don't. But anyway, so I worked hard in secondary school and I worked really, really hard in college. I'm not going to sit here and say that medicine is easy. I think it's definitely one of the hardest things I had to do in my life, but because it's the hardest thing to do in my life up to this date, everything else is very easy in my life compared to it. Well, that's the way I like to think of it. I don't think anything in this world is as hard as medicine, because medicine to me was like the epitome of hard. But again, that can literally be taken in any form and in everyone's life. Maybe medicine wasn't that hard to you. Maybe you're 14 and going to school is really, really hard for you, and if you can do that, then you can do anything. So I really like to apply that mindset. Anyway, I'm not really sure I'm being very specific, but please stick with me. So I went to college, which was very, very hard, and then I did interviews, and I think I was waitlisted at the university that I actually just graduated from. And then I sat my exams and I got my grades and they gave me a place. And I actually did medicine with a foundation year as opposed to medicine as a 5-year course, and that's just because that's the one I got into, and I wasn't going to argue with them and tell them I wanted to do 5-year. I was like, medicine is so hard to get into, I'm really glad that you guys are looking my direction. Thank you. This is my dream. I'm just so happy to be here. I'm so grateful. And yeah, that's what started my medical journey. And I did medical school for 6 years. During medical school, I'm not sure if you guys know about this, but you can intercalate, and what that means is you take a year to do an extra degree. So by the time you graduate, you come up with a medical degree as well as another degree. A lot of my friends are intercalating at the moment, so they haven't really graduated with me. But for me, I decided that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to work as a doctor straight away. I wasn't passionate enough about anything to do another degree in it. I knew this is what I wanted, and I just wanted to go down my path as quickly as possible. So yeah, I don't feel like I was missing out. I did what was meant for me anyway. And you graduate medical school, and then you do 2 years of working as a junior doctor. I'm using the term junior doctor quite loosely because I suppose anyone who's not a consultant is a junior doctor, but often when we say junior doctors, we're referring to doctors who are in foundation year training 1 and foundation year training 2. Other terms for them are house officers and then senior house officer, and I think I read somewhere in the news that they're trying to change that completely and just call them something along the lines of reg or something, but I wasn't really sure, so I don't want to put that out there. So I'm starting work as an FY1 is what I'm trying to say. That's the stage I'm in. What medical school was like, in terms of, is it hard? It is definitely hard, and I think it's hard in a different way. It's not the content isn't difficult to grasp as much, it's more the quantity of it. There's just so much information, and often you do think you come across information, especially in the first year. I really struggled first semester, looking at the lectures and thinking, is this everything you want me to know? Because there's 20 slides here and it doesn't really feel like a lot, and you're saying to only focus on these parts, and really from 20 slides, if you only want me to focus on 5, are you lying to me? Is this a trick? And I suffered with overstudying, and that would ultimately reflect in my grades, although I did do really well, but it just reflected in my grades. I could have spent that time focusing more on the 5 slides rather than the 20. But yeah, stuff like that. And I do think that medical schools across the country, like maybe it was just mine, but I think medical schools across the country, sure, they're testing you on whether you grasp the information that's on the slides and the information they're putting out there, but I think they also are testing you on your ability to tell apart what's important and what isn't, because that skill, which we later refer to as clinical reasoning, which means picking out information from people's history, so what people tell you and what you pick up from the examination, I think they were probably building those skills in the first year, but you don't even realize that these are the skills that you're going to later use on for the rest of your life. But anyway, at my medical school, the first 2 years are dedicated to learning content. So that's when you're not in hospital and not on placements, essentially. And they broke it up into first years having classes from 9 to 1, and then second years having classes from, I think it was 2 till 6. And the classes are 2 hours of lectures followed by 2 hours of group work. The lectures are 15 minutes each, and you get a 10-minute break at the end of each one. But they're usually recorded, so you can sort of sit in the lectures, not absorb all the information, go to group work, and then go home and rewatch the lectures as much as you want. And I think it's pretty standard for every single course to be able to do something like that. The group work, what you would do during those sessions are basically answer questions, or there were questions given to us preemptively before the lectures, and it's sort of answering those questions after the lectures, making sure you're consolidating the information, making sure you're understanding it, and you work in a group that they've decided for you. They usually decide that before starting medical school, and yeah, so I don't think this video was actually that fun. I'm literally just talking at you guys. I probably should have put out questions beforehand and asked if you guys wanted more specific questions, and ultimately if you do have more specific questions, put them in the comment section and I'll answer them. In terms of resources that I used in medical school, for the first 2 years it's very, very hard to find resources, because the first 2 years, the information years, are really based on your medical school. What I would advise is that you get into contact with your seniors, or go onto things like, I think it's Brainscape, and there's another one, like a Quizlet, I think it's called. Often your seniors, whether you can get into contact with them or you can't, have made cue cards, like online cue cards. and you can access them, like they're free to access, and you don't always need to go to them and ask them for it because they don't even know it's public. That kind of sounds like you're cheating, but it's really not, because I think making the cue cards is where the most knowledge comes in. And so using the cue cards to test yourself is just a really good way to test yourself, because you can gauge how much information you actually need to know. So yeah, another way to practice, I would say, in the first 2 years is definitely group work that they've assigned for you guys, but also groups as in the friends that you've made in medical school. That's a good way to form bonds between you guys, but also to gauge how much information other people know. I think because I was in COVID, well, my year group was in COVID, we didn't really have those bonds, and you couldn't really practice with other people as such, and that reflected, I think, in everyone's grades, and you didn't need to pass. I think maybe it was first year that you didn't really need to pass to progress, because of that. But I would say highly revise with the people around you. Use the resources out there from your seniors, and if you do have contact with your seniors, then definitely get into contact with them. Ask them for their resources, ask them how much you need to know, because ultimately they're the best people. And then if your university, like your seniors, organize revision sessions, which I think most universities did, I know that I was involved in some of them, and I also attended some of them through all my years. Those are really good places to go to, because that's another way for you to get into contact with the seniors, but also for you to gauge what they're telling you, how much you need to know. Like, I think it's worthwhile. I think medicine as well as a community, they do, like, our seniors do really look after the juniors. I think that's with all schools. But yeah, and then when it comes to the placement years for us were years 3, 4 and 5. Resources like Zero to Finals for me was my holy grail. I freaking love. I bought all the textbooks, and I still continue to have the textbooks because I'm gonna need it as a doctor as well. It's just so easy to understand. I love that it's black and white, so I can highlight. The pages aren't overwhelming, and it's broken down essentially into sort of explaining what the condition is, the pathophysiology, the examinations, so the signs and symptoms, you're looking out for, and then the investigations, and then management, and then a couple of tips and tips every now and then. They also do have an audio version, so I think there's a podcast out there, Zero to Finals one, where they are reading the textbook to you and also are going through things in a bit more detail. So if you are an auditory learner, that's another way to go about it. YouTube videos are really good as well. I know there's surgical shorts or surgical clips out there that are quite short and very concise. There's Teach Me Anatomy, Teach Me Surgery, Teach Me Obs and Gynae, Obstetrics and Gynecology, and those resources are very, very in detail. So as a third year, so when you're starting off your placements, I wouldn't maybe recommend those resources straight away. I know I found those overwhelming to begin with, but as you sort of build on your knowledge as years go on, you find those resources easier to understand because you have the core knowledge out there. I'd say go into placement as much as possible as well, but maybe, I don't know, I think you'll gauge it as you start. But when it comes to ward rounds, if you've seen one on your placement, so let's just say you're in general surgery, and if you've seen one that you've pretty much on your ward, you've seen it for the week, and I don't want to like overshoot what placement is like. I think ward rounds are definitely good to go to because you can sort of see common conditions, and that's what they're going to test you on. But I wasn't fighting to go into ward round every single morning. I preferred to go in later in the day when the junior doctors had completed their ward round, had completed most of their jobs, had more time on their hand, and could teach me. Because bedside teaching, guys, is the way to go about like placement years. Bedside teaching is basically when a junior doctor, FI1, F1, F2, reg, anyone, but usually it's an F1 because they're the ones who are closest to us in age, go around and say, this is a patient who has blah blah blah. I'm going to ask the patient if you can just take a history from them, examine them, and I'm going to be assessing you and watching you. And it's such a good way to have someone out there assessing you to begin with, helping you conduct the examination, see what you're looking out for, and then to be there so you can sort of tell them everything you've seen. So what we call that is handover. So it's taking a history, doing an examination, and then relaying all the important information back to the doctor. And yeah, so I think bedside teaching for me was the most important thing. It's where I learned the most. And yeah, I think those are some of my top tips for medical school. I don't know what the top tips are as a junior doctor because I haven't really lived this segment yet, and hopefully in the coming years I can make a video. I don't know how helpful this video was. It's more of a video out there talking about how I am where I am, because I don't think I've ever really truly addressed it on my channel. If you guys want more medical videos, let me know. If you want some top tips, websites that I use, textbooks that I used, question banks. Sorry I didn't talk about this, but QuestMed is my favorite question bank, but there's also PassMed. I liked QuestMed because it has an A&E section, and also when it comes to the textbook, because on the website there's a textbook for it as well, there were tabs broken down for certain things, whereas PassMed doesn't really always have that. It just has the condition as a tab, and then you'd have to, it doesn't always, so when I talk about tabs, is QuestMed will tell you investigations, managements, treatments for every single condition, whereas PassMed, you can put in ankylosing spondylitis and it won't always give you the investigations or examination. It will give you examinations, but for some conditions it won't always give you everything that you need to know out there. So QuestMed is basically just more information, and I quite like being on the side of more information than less information. Don't really learn my lesson from first year, but I think for me, I need to know more to understand the condition in better detail. So yeah guys, this is my video on how I got to where I am. But yeah, let me know if you want to know more information. I am always happy out there to give you guys information. I can give you guys some interview tips if you are in the interview stage, but again, I'd have to really dive into my memory, and I believe the process has changed definitely from when I was applying to medicine. I think the standards are so much higher right now. I think the grades they require so much more of you guys, and I'm not just trying to downplay it, I mean it seriously. I work I worked as a student a lot of the open days, and I was shocked that they required the grade requirements. I was like, guys, if I had to do this again, I'm not really sure I'd get in, so I'm really grateful I got in when I got in. But yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. Also tell me in the comment section if you want to know anything in more detail, want me to go over anything, and yeah, hopefully this was useful.